It stops my video when I share the screen, but I'm gonna take it off after we look at the chart. This
Okay.
is the this is the Rave mandala. It shows the positions of the planets in the two situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna move on the standard one because it's easier to read.
Okay.
All right. So this is you. Right? Let me check with you if the information is correct.
Yeah, that looks right.
Okay. So the biggest issue that you have is the triple split. What does it mean, a triple split? If you look at this center here, it's not connected to this one or this one because it's missing half a gate. See?
Oh, yeah.
It's separate from the rest. And obviously these two are big time separated by a full center. So you have one energy center, the two upstairs, another one, the two, this and this are connected. This is another energy, and this is another energy center. You have literally 3 energy vortexes inside of you, which will make it kind of difficult to make decisions.
Yeah.
Because they all have to sort of agree with the decision you make. All the 3 centers have to be connected in order to make a decision as fully yourself, because otherwise it will always feel like part of you is not sure.
Mm-hmm.
The best idea, but I think you already do this, is to go in semi-public places, like in coffee shops, in parks, restaurants, semi-public libraries, semi-public places where people hang around. Because with all the people there, basically in your aura, it's bound that somebody will connect these splits, and it will make it easier for you to make decisions as yourself. And also without being influenced, because those people will only connect you energetically. They won't give you their opinions.
Right.
Otherwise, you might feel like you're asking everybody for advice. You're asking for advice repeatedly from different people because you as yourself are finding it very hard to make a decision alone.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now, you don't have many open centers. You have only 2 open centers, which is only 2 not self teams, but they are quite important ones. I mean, the one here, it's a pressure center. It's the head center. This is a pressure center, and it's pressure to think about things that don't matter. And the biggest example I can give about thinking about things that don't matter is basically any actual problem we have worldwide. I don't know, world hunger and anything. And you see everybody solving other problems, but they're not solving the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Because 72% of the population has an open head center. So 70% of the population are under pressure to think about things that don't matter and to ignore things that actually do matter. But this center is the center of inspiration also. And having it open, it means you are open to receiving inspiration from different sources. This open center is from where all literature comes. So it makes a lot of sense that you have it open and you are a writer, because this is the center that brings in all kinds of literature, and each gate in it would bring something different. But the gate you have brings in fantasy or things about the past, like historical fantasy.
Okay.
Because you have gate 64, and gate 64 is pressure to think about things that don't matter in the past.
Okay. I love that.
And yeah, this is a very powerful center because it also means that you might quite literally be influenced by other people's thoughts, even if they don't express them to you.
Wow.
Because you literally take in their head energy, their thoughts energy, and you make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to make fun of people with open heads, saying that they go shopping with a clear list in their hands, and then they arrive at the shop, and without even knowing, they are bombarded with everybody else's thoughts and everybody else's list of what they should buy. And
Yeah.
the open head would buy everything around except for what's on their list.
Right.
Now, the other open center is the G center. This is a very, very important center because this is where our magnetic monopole sits. The magnetic monopole is what holds us together in this life. This is the personality side. These are the positions of the planets at the time of your birth.
Mhm.
And this is your design side. And this is the positions of the same planets, but 88 degrees of the sun before you were born. So roughly 88, 87 days before you were born.
Mhm.
These are the positions of the planets taken while you are still in your mother's womb. And the magnetic monopole holds in these two aspects together and makes us us. But it has another very important role. It's a magnetic monopole that only attracts, it never repels. That's why it's a monopole. And it sets us in our direction. It sets the direction in life, and it sets us to meet the perfect people at the right time and all of these things. Now, the fact that you have it open, it quite literally means that you might be endlessly looking for direction and love, because this is 4 of the gates of the G center are all about direction, and 4 of the gates of the G center are all about love. So people who have an open G center are searching for love and direction, for clear direction and for love, for connection. The wisdom of it is, one, to know that it's okay to not have a fixed direction. Most likely you'll have different passions, more than one passion, and you'd be also moving from one to another, and that's perfectly fine. And that love cannot be found outside of yourself. You have to find self-love first so that everything falls into place. People with an open G center, the most important aspect is to love themselves.
Okay.
So that's your main focus as a person with an open G center. Now, I discussed the not self aspects, and now I'm going to discuss into who you actually are. These are who you are not.
Okay.
I think I'm catching a cold. So I forgot to mention something about the open G center. The open G center also takes in the other person's personality. So you might find yourself that you are quite like a chameleonic, like you talk with a person and you immediately talk in their same way of talking. You talk with someone else and you change the way you talk to match that other person, to match their energy.
Mhm.
People observing it from the outside might consider that you are faking it. You are not faking it. It happens naturally because you take in their energy.
Gotcha.
It happens naturally. Yeah, you're a bit chameleonic. And that's a nice thing to be. You don't have to try to stop it. You don't try to find a single way in which you behave. It's fine to be chameleonic. Now, you are a generator. As a generator, your strategy is to respond, which means not responding necessarily to other people, but responding to life in general. I don't know, it's when it's sunny outside, you feel called to go for a walk, go for a walk. It's responding to life, like what life brings to you, responding in the moment.
Okay.
The important part is to not initiate. What does it mean to initiate? For me, initiating means having expectations of others. That's what initiating means, because obviously you can start a conversation. That's not initiating. You can create, for example, you write the books, you can create, you can be creative in the moment because you're probably responding to an inspiration from the outside when you're creating. But you can't have the expectations that how people will respond to what you create. That would be initiating. To give you an example, I'm also meant to respond. And for me, putting courses out there was a very difficult thing, because although I was creating the courses in response, that felt natural, that felt fine. When I was putting them out there, I was projecting the expectation that people will respond, that people will sign up. And that's the part that I was initiating.
Yeah.
So that's what we can't do. We can't initiate and expect people to react in a certain way to what we're creating. We have to allow life to happen and respond to it as it happens. Not taking things personally. They're mostly not personal. So for example, you write a book, you launch it, and very few people buy it. The natural response would be, okay, whatever, I'm going to start on the next one. It's not getting stuck into the pushing that one, the one.
Right.
Your my gosh, my neck, I don't know what's happening. Your authority is the solar plexus, so it means you have emotional authority. You are very emotional because you have two channels connected. This one, the channel of mating, and the channel of community. You have two emotional channels connected to your solar plexus. I will describe both of them. But having two channels quite literally means that very rarely you have emotional clarity. You are very always caught up in emotions. And the best decisions that you can make is when you reach emotional clarity. People with emotional authority are supposed to take their time. You have no truth in the now, and I will stop the screen recording just to show you something.
Okay.
So this is how emotional authority works. Whenever you hear something, whenever something happens in your life, even something basic like the sink is full of dishes, you are gonna instantly get some emotions about that. Feel frustrated, feel angry, whatever it is. And this is how your mind, your decision making would look like. Everything is kind of, I don't know if you can see, everything is kind of blurry.
Right.
And you have to wait for all of them to settle so you can make a decision in emotional clarity and see what you're making a decision about actually.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and this is very hard to wait, especially when you have two emotional waves like you do, because you might get emotional clarity from one of them. One of them might calm down, but the other one might get back. So I will explain you how they work, because they work quite differently, one from the other.
Okay.
So the 4037, this one is the one that's a bit more easy to explain. This is a tribal emotional wave. So this means that you basically suppress your emotions. So I don't know, something happens, somebody offends you, you don't react, you let it pass, it bothers you, but you don't react, you don't show emotions, you suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
Then something else happens that bothers you again, you don't show, you suppress it. You move on through the day suppressing whatever comes, and then at some point somebody does something that might not even bother you that much, but you explode instantly because the cup has been filled.
Yep. Yep.
And this emotional wave, I'm telling you honestly, for people who are unemotional, I'm unemotional, it feels like a minefield.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a minefield because when I'm around people with tribal emotional waves, I can't tell whether the next thing I do will make them explode or not.
Right.
Um, and this is a emotional wave that also I can help tell you what helps to calm it down, so you don't let it become a tsunami, so you don't let it build up.
Okay.
It's helped by smell and touch.
Oh, cool.
So whether you go for a massage or whether you use, I don't know, a perfume you love, it doesn't have to be essential oils in meditation. It can be even food if you really enjoy the smell, but something that you enjoy and something that calms you down
Mm-hmm.
will help release that wave without having the need to, blow up.
Okay.
Now
That's all.
the other wave, it's a bit more problematic than this one. The other
Okay.
wave, the 59.6, contains all the three waves. This is the source of all emotional waves, is the channel of breaking barriers. And its whole purpose is to create a situation in which the other is vulnerable. You want to show vulnerability too, but you have to get the other to be vulnerable so that you can show vulnerability.
Mm.
And usually how this channel does that is through conflict. It brings out conflict to show up vulnerability in itself and in the others. You have it twice, the whole channel. See, if you look at it, it's both black and red. So it means it's twice in your chart.
Mm.
So this will be quite a powerful energy. And also, this is the only channel that takes over emotionally everyone. So people around you might seem like they're over dramatic. People
Mm-hmm.
around you might seem like they're always ready for conflict, because you are impacting them with this channel. You're impacting
Okay.
everyone with this channel, and you are suppressing because of the other channel. So it might look like people around you are over dramatic. People around you are picking up fights. People around you are creating conflicts.
Okay.
This,
Mm.
I think from all your charts, this is where you impact people most. And yes, a lot of people will open up to you in vulnerability. When you show vulnerability, they will show vulnerability as well, because this channel will impact them greatly. Now, I explained to you how the solar plexus works and how your authority works. I'm gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
in this energy center small here. You have a defined sacral. Now, the defined sacral is pretty much like an engine, but it's an engine that works on satisfaction. So if you do something that satisfies you, regardless if that's writing your books or going for a walk or whatever it is, something that satisfies you, that brings you satisfaction, you'll keep having energy. You won't feel tired. You can keep going. But when you have to do something that frustrates you, something that you don't find satisfying, your energy will deplete very fast. It's literally exactly like a car engine. If you put the right kind of petrol, it runs smoothly. But if you put the wrong kind, it starts coughing and leaves you in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's the same for the sacral engine. When you do something that you enjoy, something satisfying, it keeps going. It's smooth. It's satisfying. And when you do something that you don't like, you end up burnt out. You end up tired. You end up in situations where you just want to stop.
Right.
Then you have the ego defined, and this is mostly all about support. Out of the 4 gates of the ego, 3 of them are tribal, and you have 2 of them defined there. So this is about receiving support. The ego needs the others to be supported, to be held. So you have value on your own. You can recognize your own value, but you like to be supported by others. You enjoy others showing appreciation for you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the 4037, the 4037, the 40 is a love gate, and it's the love gate of a purpose. I'm doing this for the family. I'm doing this for others. I'm doing this for the kids. I'm doing this for you. The 40 works. If the 40 would be completely alone in the society, they would not work because they would not have a reason to. They are justifying their efforts for the other, for the support of other, and they need the appreciation of others. Since I'm doing so much for you, I need to feel appreciated by you.
Right.
And that's the kind of energy that the ego requires. The ego is also a motor center. So you have the energy that if I want to, I can do it. If I put my energy to it, I will accomplish it. I can finish it. I can do it regardless of time frames or anything. It has the energy to get something finished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is that cluster of energy. And now I'm moving down. You have the spleen. This is the spleen, and this is the root. The spleen and the root connected to the 1858. This is the channel 1858. This is the channel of judgment, and this is pretty much correction. It's a collective channel, so it means you need to share what others could be doing better. You might be correcting your friends, you might be correcting your husband, you might be correcting your kids, but it comes from a place of love because 58 is a love gate, but they might not take it that way always.
Yeah.
You would be so much better if you just, this is pretty much how the collective, the 1858 works. And sometimes it's really nice and sweet, the 58, in which they literally help the other improve and work with them, but sometimes it can be quite cut off and sharing things that they observe quite rudely. And it all depends on how the other is taking it.
Okay.
Now, the root center is another pressure center, but this time you have it defined. What does it mean? It means you work well under stress. Probably you actually work better when you have a tight timeline than when you have all the time in the world.
Yep.
You might actually be looking for situations in which you create a tight timeline for yourself, give yourself tight timelines, because
Yes.
working under pressure is healthy for you. And working under pressure, you might feel like you're doing your best job when you're working under pressure. Where the pressure lacks, it might feel like you're superficial about it because of the 1858. So you like pressure, but you have to be aware that you're putting others under pressure as well, and they might not like it.
Okay.
The spleen is the center of the immune system, and it's also the center of intuition. you have it defined, so that means you have a quite strong immune system. Most likely, you very rarely get sick. And when you do get sick, it would be very bad. Like you don't get slightly sick, like I
Yeah.
am right now. You get either you're perfectly fine or you're in bed. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Your intuition usually comes in a fixed way. It's either intuition about an inner knowing that something's wrong from the 1858, or an inner knowing that something needs to be taken care of. But it's an inner knowing that you'll have to learn to trust, because all of us worldwide have a hard time trusting our intuition because we've been educated out of it.
Right.
But you are intuitive and you can trust that you can see a better way of moving ahead. And now the ajna and the throat. Now this is interesting. You'll have the ajna and the throat defined to the 4323. I say it's interesting because the 4323 is my biggest lesson of this year till my birthday in August. And I met, I think, over 10 people with this channel, including you. And I connected with so many people with this channel. It's very interesting. If this is what I'm supposed to learn, that I'm definitely being shown. And the ajna is the center of conceptualizing, the center of ideas, the center of certainty. And the throat is the center of manifesting. Like if all roads lead to Rome, then all channels in a human design lead to the throat. The purpose is to be manifesting from the throat. And the channel you have connected from the to the throat is the, as I said, the 4323, and this channel speaks in I know. You might even say often, I know. When somebody corrects you, when somebody tells something to you, you'll go, I know.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting channel because it's called the channel from genius to freak. Some people might perceive whatever it is you're doing as genius, including your books or anything else. And some people might consider it weird. Some people might consider it not as it should be. The main thing about this channel is the fact that it's individual, it's empowering. So whatever you feel like you know, go with it, because that's going to empower you and create more energy. If you trust the people, the naysayers who will say that you're crazy, because to most people with a 4323, that's what they're called most often. They're called crazy because they have this quite wild ideas or wild inner knowing or unconventional way of going about life. And if you listen to the naysayers, you're going to start doubting your own knowing. And this channel says, I know. When you start to move from a comfortable place of I know to I don't know, and saying to yourself often, I don't know what this is, I don't know what this means, you're moving further from yourself.
Okay.
You have to trust your inner knowing as much as possible, as often as possible.
Okay.
Now your profile, I didn't even notice, you're at 5-3. That's a hard profile. Okay. The third line profile, it's bonds made to be broken. So you're always gonna make mistakes, and it's important for you to celebrate them. Do not ever think about mistakes as something bad. There was some scientist who had a great quote that fits perfectly with the third line. It's, I have not failed. I have found 972 options that don't work.
Yes. I actually teach that to my kids at school in science class.
Yes, this is the most important thing you have to know and remember about yourself as a third liner, that whatever mistake you seem to be doing in life, it's just a teaching moment that teaches you something that won't work.
Uh-huh.
And you're gonna get more and more practical by knowing what doesn't work.
Right.
Now, the third line is also often seen as the anarchist. And I'm saying it's a difficult profile because having the third line together with the 4323 might get you to feel cast out in that different social groups or in different situations, because your 4323 will say things that are out there. And with
Mhm.
the third line, you will seem like an anarchist, and it might make some more conservative people quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's important to, again, trust and do the mistakes, trust and go through it, because that's the learning process. You don't actually learn from reading and studying, you learn from experiencing life as it comes. These are the kind of people that learn through experience, and I keep saying it, experience is a very hard teacher because it first gives the exam and then delivers the lesson.
Mhm. Yep.
So you will learn mostly through experiences. Now, the fifth line on the other side, it's also difficult because the fifth line lives in other people's projections. What do I mean by this is other people project onto you what you are supposed to be for them. You're supposed to be a coach, you're supposed to be nice, you're supposed to be mean, you're supposed to be whatever it is they are thinking about you.
Mhm.
And when you fulfill that expectation, everything's great, everything's fine. They will put you higher and higher on a pedestal. But if
Mhm.
you don't fulfill their expectations, you're basically setting yourself up to be burned to the stake.
Yep.
because they will go out of their way to say bad things about you.
Mhm.
They will go out of their way to say bad things about you to others. Yeah, they will go out of their way to show everyone, to project to everyone that you disappointed them. But they won't do the same when you meet their expectation. When you meet their expectation, the only thing that happens is they keep projecting other expectations.
Mhm.
Now, the wisdom of the fifth line is to make decisions as yourself. So to make decisions in emotional clarity and tell people if you're not able to meet their expectations beforehand, not assume expectations that come towards you. You might also find that people treat you in a very familiar way, even if they don't know you. You might
Mhm.
just meet someone and they instantly talk to you as if they know you, and you're like, you don't know me, you can't say that about me. But they know the projections they cast out on you, and that's what
Mhm.
they're seeing, their own opinion about you, and they assume it's correct. So try noticing this, try noticing, it's going to be much easier to notice projections when you notice them in people you meet recently, rather than people you've known for a lifetime and probably already assume the projections they set on you are real.
Mhm.
All right, this is pretty much your chart. The people you like to surround yourself with are also fifth liners. So you might project your opinions on other people as well. and first liners, which is experts, which are people who study a lot, but they are mostly loners. You have quite a lot of fifth lines in your profile. Look, there's another more fifth lines here, fifth line here. There's a lot of fifth lines, so you'll be dealing with a lot of projections, but there's also a lot of first lines. So you might find yourself going into lone places to study, lone places to read. You might find yourself looking for a long time sometimes.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, because otherwise I'll move into discussing whichever of the relationships you're looking to discuss.
Mhm. Okay. I took a lot of notes. Whole lot of notes. A lot of it makes a lot of sense to me. A whole lot of sense. Like, it's scary accurate. But yeah, I can't think of any questions right off.
Yes, that's why everybody who gets a reading from me gets 1 free month in my community. I'll send you the invite exactly after we finish this.
Okay.
Because it's quite hard to think about questions on the moment, because I realize it's a lot of information that you have to digest.
Yeah.
And I give people 30 days because maybe questions pop up in the 30 days while we're thinking. Yeah. So I have okay, this is your husband. I have your husband, you and your husband's relationship.
Okay.
Is this correct for your husband? No. It can't be correct, right? Is it?
Yeah, it looks correct.
Good.
Well,
it's here up. Don't look lower because
yeah. The
right.
birthplace.
Okay. Is it wrong?
Well, I don't know, because I hope you don't have it as Lebanon, the country, because it's Lebanon, a city in Tennessee.
See,
in America.
Yes, it's wrong. It's wrong. So let's change it. Edit. Oh, yes, it's the country. So I'm writing here USA.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm writing here Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In
Tennessee.
Okay. Save. This is automatically different because it's 3 hours different. Okay. All right. And now let me see if it changed this. No, it didn't. So I'm going to just delete this one. Actually, I'm going to make a new one. Connection chart. This with this. Save. All right. You're still an 8.1. Okay, so I don't know why I remember that you are 9.0, you're an 8.1. So there is a way out of this relationship.
Oh.
And it seems to me like you took the way out quite some time ago, because the way out is the head, and you started using your imagination, pretty much writing books to get out. That's the way out energetically. And it's not a stuck relationship. It's not a nowhere to go relationship. It's an 8.1, have some fun. And the problems in an 8.1, have some fun, appear when the have some fun doesn't mean the same for both members. The have some fun for you guys should mean being inspired together, being inspired by the same thing, having deep talks about literature, or having deep talks about movies, or having deep talks about things that inspire you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't feel like you can have those, that's going to create an issue.
Yep.
And it's going to create the not self theme of the head, which is thinking about things that don't matter and probably blaming each other for things that should not matter. I don't know, the dishes or something that's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have 1, 2. You have a very clean chart. I haven't seen this clean chart. Yeah, only 1 compromised channel, 3 electromagnetic, and mostly dominance. And who's the one dominant? Okay, your husband is the one dominant. Actually, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. You are balanced. You have equal domination, but different. You're compromising him. He might be more bothered than you because he has 4 channels of dominance. I will show you here. See the ones in green, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's his dominance, and you have dominance. Even the compromise channel, you have dominance. That's why it's written your name. 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So it's 4 and 4 channels. So the dominance is quite balanced. But the fact that one of the channels you have dominance over, it's a compromise for him, it might bother him. And it's the 59-6. That's the channel that you have dominance over, and it's a compromise. And he has the gate of conflict, and you have the whole channel. So he will be uncomfortable in vulnerability. You will keep pushing him towards vulnerability, and you will manage it energetically. You will manage to push him there, but he will be uncomfortable there because he only has the gate of conflict. He doesn't have the gate of vulnerability himself. So you will force him to show vulnerability, and he will be very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
The only amplification that happens in your guys' charts is, it happens quite a lot, but on the other side. Your husband is also a split profile, and he's not a triple split, he's a single split. So just like I told you that you have 3 energy vortexes, he has 2. These 2 are connected to each other, and these 3 are connected to each other, but nothing connects them. 59 is missing here to connect with that one, and 8 and 31 are missing here to connect with the throat. Now, people who have a split profile, not a triple split, a split, they like to be bridged always by the same person. Basically, I think the marriage concept was created by the people with a single split.
Yeah.
Because they need someone always next to them who bridges their split so they can make decisions in their lives, because otherwise they feel dualistic. They feel literally like there's one devil on one shoulder and one angel on the other, giving them completely opposite ideas. That's how it feels for them. And when they have somebody who bridges their split, they feel at peace, they feel centered, and they tend to stick to that person no matter what.
Yeah.
50% of the population is single split like him, and yeah, we have marriages because they need them.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was thinking, is that's why he doesn't want me to leave.
No,
like he feels like he needs me for
for his
like
energetic
balance. Yeah.
When they are in a relationship that joins their energies, your chart is single. Look, it's here, it's single definition. Even though you have 3 splits and he has 2 splits, you both bridge each other's splits. For him, it's super nice, super amazing, because he finally feels like his energy is centered. He finally feels like he can do things, can make decisions. He doesn't have the duality anymore. But for you, it's bothering, because as a triple split, you don't like your energy to be bridged in the same way every time. You need other people bridging your energy. You need to pretty much like a social butterfly.
Yeah.
And it might feel that he's taking that back because he needs you so much. And he also might be the kind of person that requires your help. Like, I don't know, you have to clean the garage and he will announce it, expecting you to clean it with him.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Simply because he needs that energetic input, that energetic bridging. And
Right.
they feel like they are entitled to it.
Yeah. He, like he'll totally, even if I don't help him, he just wants me to be there.
Yes, even as a
Like
shadow. Yeah.
I don't have to do it. And he'll even tell me that you don't have to do anything. Just be out here with me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it. That's because of his split, and it makes him more comfortable, and it makes him feel like he has more energy, and it makes him feel like he's more determined.
Yeah.
Um,
And it
for
does get on my nerves.
as for electromagnetic connections, you have only one electromagnetic connection on a love gate, and even that one is on transcendental love. It's not on one-on-one love. And so you both might be very focused on the body, regardless if it's health. No, let me see who's who. He is focused on the body and you are focused on commitment. This is the channel 4629. This is the love of the body. He might be focused on gym, on health, on protein shakes, on whatever it is, because that's the energy of the healer. But people with the 46 are also the most anxious people possible, because when you love the human body, anything that can harm the human body, it's a danger. So
Right.
accidents, risk-taking activities, bad food, everything, it's a danger. So these are
Right.
people who have a constant anxiety and constant need to be reassured. And you have the commitment on this side. The commitment is interesting because I have the 29 as well. The commitment can only be a commitment in the now. So we have to be committed to the present moment. We have to be committed to what we're doing right now and give our 100% to whatever it is we're doing at every moment in time. And when we do that, when we are fully committed and fully immersed in the present moment and fully committed to the present moment, weird things start to happen. And that's synchronicity and, what's the word? Serendipity.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When we are committed to the present moment and considering it's connected to the sacral, when we are fully satisfied and fully committed in the present moment, I can tell you that whenever I do a human design reading or whatever, I go into my community to help other people, I am fully present and fully committed to the present moment. It's something I fully love to do. And when I enter in that energy, serendipity starts to happen. So people start wanting to promote me. People start asking for the link to give it to a friend. Things happen naturally. I don't have to force in any direction.
Okay.
This is the beauty of the 29. It's called the gate of the abysmal. So basically, when we go deep into whatever it is we're doing, when we allow ourselves to be immersed completely in whatever it is we are doing, synchronicities, serendipity, and luck simply happens. It doesn't come from outside, it comes from our determination of it,
Yep.
for it. But this is your main electromagnetic channel, the only one that you have on a love gate. The other electromagnetic connection, what attracts you to each other, would be the 1762. It's I'm gonna make it small again. See that one between the
Mm-hmm.
head and the ajna, the 1762.
Yeah.
And you will not sense it a lot. He will sense it a lot. You will not sense it because you already have your 4323. So you already have your way to manifest your ideas to the throat. He doesn't. If I move on his chart, he doesn't have the Ajna defined.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have a way to manifest his ideas in the moment. But when you are together, he does through this channel. So it will be much more important for him, this connection, than it is for you. But this connection looks like a very practical way. This is a logical channel. This is a channel of sharing opinions, and opinions that seem logical. It's a design of being organized, and is the kind of person that always speaks into very, very detail. When I think of this channel, I think of those sellers, I don't know if you know them, that sell pillars in the market, like
Yeah.
vegetable pillars in the market. And while they are peeling vegetables, they talk constantly, really fast.
Right.
That's how I see this channel. Now, he won't necessarily be like that because it's not his channel, it's half and half, but he will give a lot of details, and you might be asking questions that he responds to with way too many details.
Mm-hmm.
And another channel that would be more important for you than it is for him is the 8-1, because you have normally the G center undefined, and this will define your G center. And it's the creative, the channel of the creative. And you might feel like you tap in your creativity. You might feel like you are ready to start projects, things like this. But this is a very individual, empowering channel, so it might feel like you're getting ideas from him or things like this. It won't feel like an actual conversation. It will feel just like an exchange of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
These are your main channels of connection, and then you have a lot of dominance. You have your dominant over the 4323 that we discussed, the channel of the freak genius, the 4037, which is your emotional wave, and the 18. And these are things that he should learn from you. So he should learn the dedication from you, how you work for your family and how you do things for others. The 4037, he should pick them up from you and recognize you, give you the recognition you deserve. If he doesn't, it will bother you.
Yeah.
Or it will bother you even more if he doesn't recognize you and he assumes this as his own. If he starts saying the sacrifices I've done without recognizing your sacrifices, it will trigger you.
Oh yeah.
And the channel of correction, which he's supposed to learn this from you, and he's supposed to be open to your corrections, and you would enjoy if he would make the changes that you suggest. You would feel recognized if he acknowledges that you might be right, if he follows your guidance. But if he doesn't, or even further, if he picks it up for you and tries to correct you, it will bother you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for his dominance, he has the 1222. My husband has 1222 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the 1222 is an emotional wave that is very interesting because it pulsates. So they are normally very emotionally stable. They're pretty much unemotional unless they pulsate. All of the sudden they go super happy, super excited, or super angry, or super, there's something that goes completely off the charts all of the sudden. It looks like from nothing. I know my husband, for example, will be cooking, something happens, and all of a sudden he starts swearing, but it's completely meaningless, like the drawer didn't open properly or something.
Right. Yep.
And he will go into full anger mode and start swearing, start hitting the drawer or something. and it lasts usually very shortly, like for a couple of seconds, minutes, and then they go down into melancholy. They go down into a sort of numb emotion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as people noticing this from outside, we tend to ask them what's wrong when they go into that melancholy.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing we can do to them, because there's nothing wrong, actually. They're just integrating the super strong emotion they had previously.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ask them in their melancholy moment, what's wrong with you, they realize that they are not fine, that they're not unemotional. And it will move them in their heads trying to make sense of what's happening. Trying to give reasons for their melancholy, and it will actually keep them longer in their melancholy.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing is to acknowledge that it's just a pulsation, that is just their emotional wave, and let them in it, allow them to get out of it through their melancholy, and not engaging when their emotions are hyped.
Uh-huh.
Because just like you, he has to take decisions in emotional clarity. So the thing I showed you with the snow globe is valid for him as well. It's just that it's much more sudden for him. It's like somebody literally just pulls the snow globe, shakes it up, and then leaves them there.
Yeah. Yep, I've definitely seen that.
This is a very unmistakable channel. I recognize it very easily because it's both my husband and my father. And I noticed that if you engage with them in the height of the emotion, for example, if when that drawer won't open and he starts swearing, I go and ask him what's wrong, I keep him longer in that emotion. If I try to fix it for him, I keep him longer in that emotion. And many times he will project that anger onto me. You always do this, something is not right. Why can't this house be normal? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He starts projecting it towards me. Whereas if I completely the opposite, I'm with him in the kitchen cooking, something happens, he goes angry and I step out, he will, how can I say, he will downline his emotions in no time.
Yeah. Yep.
He has a lot more connection with self-love than you do. He has the gate 10 connected both with his spleen and with his sacral. He has the 1034 and the 1057. Gate 10 is the gate of self-love, but this gate is very sensitive to control. They only reach self-love when they release the control of gate 10. Gate 10 wants to control behaviors. Gate 10, it's for the gate 10, it's very important how they show up. So maybe it will be important for him, giving the information you gave me so far, that you all show up as the perfect family in church, that you all behave in a certain way when outside, that you all show up in a certain way in photos or stuff like this, or at the barbecue of the friends, you all show up in a certain way. The behavior will be very important for him, and he will try to control everyone around him to behave in the way that he thinks is correct. Including himself, even his own behavior, he will control. And the wisdom of it, the problem with it is that as long as they are in control, they cannot fall into self-love. They have to release that control so they love themselves as they are. The moment that the gate 10 releases control is the moment that they find self-love. They don't need a lot of inner finding, inner knowing. They don't need a lot of what everybody else is doing. I don't know, coaching and therapy. The moment they release control, they find self-love, but the control is very hard to release. It's easier said than done. Now gate 57 that connects to his gate 10, it's the most intuitive gate in the whole chart. It's literally the gate of intuition. But the problem is that it's so subtle and so straight that most people who have gate 57 doubt their own intuition. because it's completely, it doesn't make sense. That's why they doubt it. It doesn't make sense that I could know this thing, but I know it. So for example, I know that I shouldn't take that road, and he doesn't take that road, and then he goes home and watches the news, and there was an accident on that road, and it would have taken him forever. It would have been a road blockage.
Right.
There's no way he could have known. But it does. That's the intuition gate. That's the 57. And most usually people will doubt it. Most usually people will go exactly against their intuition because it seems so unlogical. It seems so impossible.
Yeah.
And gate 34, that's also connected to gate 10 and to gate 57. It's the gate of power. And the wisdom of this gate is that power is only useful when used for the greater good, but in an unhealthy way, in a lower vibrational. This gate is the bully. I have the same gate, and this energy can be quite petty, quite bullish, quite show mean traits, be mean towards others. In the highest energy, it's actually majesty, and it's very tolerant and very accepting of others because it wants to use its power for the improving and helping the other. But in its lowest energy, it's bullish. Yeah, it's the bully. So he might seem as both. He might seem sometimes he's very majestic and very understanding and very helpful for others. Especially he worked as a pastor, so you might have seen that side of him, but you might also meet sometimes the other side of him, which is the bully.
Yeah.
Okay, this is about it. And I don't think I have here a columns chart. If you want, I take it out right now. You just have to tell me his birthday.
Okay.
I'm writing his name, right?
Yes.
All right. Date. Year first.
It's June, or the year first is 1990.
1990. Oh yeah, you have exactly the same 10 years gap. Okay.
Yes. The 7th. Sorry,
June.
not May. June. Yeah, sorry. June.
Okay. A time you don't know exactly, right?
No.
But you approximately will put him in the morning.
Okay.
Set. Country, Scotland.
Yes.
All right. No, it doesn't see it. I think I have to write UK.
UK, yeah.
United Kingdom. All right. And city?
I'll spell it for you.
Okay.
DUNFERM.
So DUN.
Oh, it may not be DU. Hold on. It may be D. Why can't I think of it? I'm too sleepy.
It doesn't really matter. Look, if you recognize it here, or if not,
Okay.
I'm going to put anyone in Scotland because the cities, we only care about them for the time zone. So they will all have same time zone.
Just do that then. That's fine.
Good. All right. And now I create the connection chart. Robin here. And come on. Okay. Okay. Save. All right. Yes, you're a 9-0 with 1, 2. Okay. 2 make big connections of love gates here, both of them in the root system. You also have the 8-1, the channel of inspiration that you had with your husband, the channel of creativity. And you also have an electromagnetic connection here. Yeah, you have a lot of electromagnetic connections, which is what attracts you to him and what makes this connection work. And since it's a 9-0, it's very hard to break up it. 9-0 means nowhere to go. So basically, when two people connect with each other and they form a 9-0 connection, it's quite literally like they get entangled with each other. And it's no longer clear whose energy is what.
Yeah.
Now, let me see his chart a bit. Yes, he's a projector like you. He has a split like your husband, a single, just the two energies, the ones up here, the two up. And they are not connected. They are missing exactly the 43, which you have. So you're going to bridge his split. And the other three are all connected to each other. Now, looking at his chart, I'm seeing two differences, and I'm looking, yeah. Okay, so he has the 1333, which shows up as a compromise here. See, he has the full channel in green, and you have only the 33 in blue. That's the channel of keeping secrets. That's the channel that keeps secrets, because secrets are only valuable when they're kept. To give an example of how secrets are only valuable when they're kept, I always give the example of the KFC 11 spices. It's 11 spices. Everybody has them. It's not a big deal, but the only thing that makes them a big deal is the fact that they are secret.
Right.
So that's how this channel functions. Takes things that might not be a big deal if they're brought up in the open, but they make them a big deal by keeping them secret.
Okay.
That's one channel that's compromised. The other, it's yours. You're compromising him on the 1858. He has the 58, so he might try to correct you too. And you will get very, very bothered when he corrects you. And he might not correct what you're telling him to correct. He might not improve what you're telling him to improve. There might be some resistance in it because there's a compromise situation. And if he doesn't let go because he's the one being compromised. And when you're the one being compromised, you energetically lost before the communication happens. You energetically lost at the very beginning. And if he doesn't let go of that correction, of that improving, it will be a source of conflict.
Okay.
Okay, and now the love gates, because you have two electromagnetic love gates. One of them is annoying, one of them is the gate of, and you have them opposite. Yeah, he has the 41 and you have the 55. The 55 is the love gate of eternally undecisive love. So it's basically, I imagine it as the daffodil. He loves me not, he loves me not. The flower, you take out the flower and you take the petals. Yeah, it's the eternally undecisive love. And this gate finds it a very hard to express and trust feelings, because sometimes the feelings are very there and very strong, but sometimes they're gone. And the 55 usually functions on impulses, just like I told you about your husband channel. This is also an individual channel, and it functions in impulses, which means you might hear a song, you might see a synchronicity, you might see something, and it automatically spikes you up and you have feelings. But when nothing happens, you might even doubt the whole thing is even real.
Right.
And that's how this shows up. It's quite conflicting. because the 55 doesn't trust. The 55 is one of the most doubtful gates there is. The energy of the whole channel 3955 is the channel of moodiness, and it goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the 55 specifically, when we're talking about love, it says there's something there. I don't know what that is. I can't explain it, but there's something there. And his love gate is the 41. And this is the gate of fantasy. And people with these gates tend to fantasize about other people. So they are in a relationship and they fantasize about being with someone else, except when they meet someone who has the other side, like you have the other side. He has gate 41 and you have 30, because gate 30 is the gate of desire, is the gate of the clinging fire. So it basically creates a clinging fire kind of fantasy. It clings. It's a fantasy that sticks. It's a fantasy that they also can't explain because it's a fantasy. Most of the time they are aware it's a fantasy, but they can't shake it off. That's how it looks like. And I'm pretty sure that if I look at another hour, let me check, because I remember for sure that you had the 4426. So let me go to my library. And work a bit with couple of hours, edit. So I put him at 6 in the morning. I'm gonna put him at 10, jump a bit. No, edit 12. No, because you don't have the exact time. So I'm gonna play with it a bit. It doesn't change a lot. So those gates that I discussed with you so far, they're still all there. So it doesn't change a lot, this chart. Interesting, it doesn't change almost at all. Rarely a chart doesn't change throughout the day. No. Okay, I think I did already 10. How do I do 22? Okay, 20. Okay. No, this changed quite a lot, but not the gates. Edit 20. No, yeah, so pretty much that I'm gonna move it back. Oh, close, wrong one. I'm gonna move it back at 6. Okay. All right, and I go back to library and back to your joint chart. He has a pattern of shyness. While you have a pattern that's a relating pattern that moves in and out of contact, he has a pattern of shyness to boldness. So sometimes he will show up as very shy, and sometimes he will show up as quite rudely bold.
Yep.
And this will move back and forth because that's his second line. His profile is 6-2, and as a 6-liner he goes through 3 phases of his life, and he's actually just moved into another one. So the first phase of his life, he's a 3rd-liner, like you. In the first 30 years, he's a 3rd-liner. So goes through trial and error, goes through bonds made to be broken, goes through the anarchist, goes through learning through mistakes, goes through all of that. And then at around 30-ish, they move on the roof. So you can imagine that it's pretty much living life on the roof. And when you are on a roof of a building, you see everything smaller. You see everything from a distance. You're aloof. You're less involved in situations. And you are also able to see the bigger picture. You see things from a distance. But the problem with the 6-2 specifically is that they usually go into a depression period when they move on the roof, because the second line is the hermit. So the hermit tends to hermit a lot, tends to go into alone periods a lot. They go in and out of alone periods. And when they reach the roof, it's pretty much double aloneness. And they might go into a mood of depression. They might feel like their whole life is changing. Most people with the 6th line describe their process as if they're living 3 different lives. Because it's the beginning, that's a very chaotic trial and error for them. It's not like for you, because for you, even though you're a 3rd liner as well, you get used to it. You're something that happens to you all through your life. But for them, it's just the first 30 years and it gets quite chaotic for them and quite uncomfortable. And then they move on the roof, and depending on how much chaos they experienced before, they might be exhausted and they might collapse at around 30.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they go into this phase of purposelessness. Like life doesn't have meaning, like life doesn't have purpose. Like, what's the point of it? Why am I even trying?
Yeah.
And they gather even more wisdom on the roof by learning from others and basically being like a cat on the roof, licking their own wounds and starting to heal. It takes them 20 years, honestly, to heal and to start learning things from others, because they have to digest the first 30 years of their life. And then after they climb down from the roof, after they move out from the roof, they move into the role of the role model. And with everything they learned into the first 30 years and everything they healed in the next 20 years, they are able to guide and help others after their around 50 birthday.
Okay.
But they also go through another transition then at around 50, and they are usually going through a midlife crisis where everything changes for them, and they might change professions suddenly. They might feel anxious suddenly because their whole life is changing again. So yeah, people who I met, especially over 50, who have went through all periods, they tell me that it feels like they're living 3 separate lives. But for the connection, for the love connection, these are people who are looking for soulmate or not. They will go in and out of relationships quite fast, because the moment that the other person is clearly not my soulmate, then I'm gonna be out. Yeah, the 6th line is looking for extraordinary connection. They're looking for something out of the ordinary. They're looking for something that feels like a soulmate, and they will go in and out like a 3rd liner. They will go in making and breaking bonds with people just so they can find that magic connection, that soulmate energy. Okay, that's about it. Again, if you have any questions, ask me, ask away.
I can't think of any questions, but I will say, especially what you're saying about those 3 phases, I don't, I don't know him super, super well, but I know he's 33 in his first 30 years. I think we're very chaotic.
Yes.
Like like that makes a lot of sense. And I do see him, like, he talks a lot about mental health now. He's really concerned about taking time for himself, being alone, those kinds of things. Like it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, he's on the roof and he needs his time alone, especially as a second liner, as a hermit.
Yeah.
He needs time to decompress and think about things, heal things. And he might also crash very often, like exhaustion.
Yeah. He doesn't sleep much.
Yeah, it might cause him to go in overdrive. They either go in underdrive, like a sort of giving up, or they go in overdrive trying too hard.
Right. Okay. Oh, I do have one question. What about his intuition?
His intuition is pretty much similar with yours. He also, no, he doesn't. Wait, let me check on his chart. His chart, this is your chart, his chart. No, his intuition comes in all various ways. He might not even recognize it. He has an open spleen. I have an open spleen as well. And even though the wisdom of it is that intuition comes through various ways, the problem with it is because it comes in different ways, we have a hard time trusting it. It's not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And an open, an open spleen center is a center of survival anxiety. So the open spleen holds on to whatever it is they have in front of them as a way of safety. They're the kind of people who don't let go the bird in the hand for the bird on the fence.
Yeah.
They need the security. Being insecure about something, being not 100% sure about something makes it very hard to let go of whatever it is you have right now. They don't leave a job if they don't have another offer. They don't leave a relationship if they don't have another relationship already there. They need something to hold on to.
Right.
These are people who usually seem clingy.
Hmm. Yeah, I could. Yep. Okay. His first girlfriend. Like I could tell by the pictures he posted of the two of them that she didn't feel for him the way he felt for her. And like it was obvious to me with like body language. But I also noticed like he commented on every single thing she would post on social media and things like that. Like I could see how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something that happens a lot for open spleen people, that they seem to care more about the other than the other cares for them,
Hmm.
simply because they cling on,
Yeah.
simply because they also tend to be a bit people pleasers to a certain extent, but it's not done in a way that I don't know, the open ego does people pleasing. It's in a way that, okay, I can do that, just don't leave.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
responding to requests just so the other doesn't leave.
Okay.
And they are also, because the spleen is connected to survival, they might also feel like they're quite, how can I say, fatalists. I can't live without you.
Hmm.
That kind of energy.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay.
And stop the screen share. Stop recording.